What is up, Light Fighters? Welcome back to the channel. This is Light Fighters Anonymous, where we are questioning whether our team medics are pulling their weight or not. Does your team medic say he loves and trusts you with his life, but he keeps putting these little tamper tags all over all of his gear? Well, today we are going to go ahead and rip the tag off and answer the question, what's in the box?
What's in the box? What's in the box?
There's a man with a gun over there, telling me I got to beware. Think it's time we stop, children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
All right, guys, what is up? It is a beautiful fall day, and don't worry, this is not a fentanyl lollipop. This is caramel apple. The best part of fall, but don't worry, I will not talk to you with that in my mouth all day. I'm just gonna go feed it to my dogs. So today, guys, hopefully this is part three of why combat medicine actually isn't hard, and people should stop gatekeeping it with big words. Hopefully you've watched part one and part two already. If you haven't, they're not very good, but I'd appreciate if you go back and watch them or at least press like on them. Helps me out a lot. But in part one, I attempted to demystify the assessment process. Didn't do a very good job, but just try to cover a basic assessment, what you're gonna do when you come up to a patient and how you're gonna talk to them, how you're gonna treat them. Second video, we covered IFAKs and what the traditional supplies found in an IFAK are. Today, we're gonna dive into a little bit more equipment and some other stuff. There are some way better videos though on the internet that'll tell you how to use a lot of this equipment. I'm just not gonna have the time to rip open all this gear and explain every single piece of equipment I've got. But we're gonna dig through these boxes in part three today, because that brings me on to what we're covering today is part three. And this is what I like to call big ass med kits, I guess. So what I do have here is my two big ass med kits. And I guess what these really are is kind of, they're like field-borne kits, if you will. I've kind of got these set up two different ways specifically, but these are not backpackable or kits that you bring to the field on an op or on a mission or whatever cool ARP we're all doing these days. These things pretty much stay with vehicles or transported by vehicles. Mine stay in this trailer here, this patrol sustainment trailer, which I will make a video on one day. But they go to the gun range with me when we're having big group shoots and stuff like that. And then I debus them and keep them in a centralized location. And when we're given safety briefs, I say, hey, by the way, our large trauma kit is located here, and also our other field medical kit is located here. So these are pretty much too big to be just packing around all day, every day. But this one, which is specifically my trauma kit, I'll go over it. It does roll up, and could be carried, and it does have some straps to be worn as a backpack that you could carry it to an injured person and then begin treating them if they weren't prepared with an IFAK themselves. So let's go ahead and rip into both of these two medical kits. First things first, I need to describe what is what. So what I have in front of you here, this is a Pelican case. It's a 1600, and it is, here we go, get rid of the old tags. And it is loaded up with basically what I like to call the field pharmacy, if you will. In the military, they call this like a sick call bag, or it's just kind of a general purpose kind of stuff that you'd find in a first aid section or in your medicine cabinet, stuff like that. We try to be as comprehensive as possible, but what this isn't gear to treat life threats or anything that's life threatening. This is more stuff for sustainment in the field, treating small cuts, injuries, ailments, sicknesses, stuff like that, that just kind of happen as you live and operate in the field. So I'm gonna go ahead and close this because I wanna go over to this big old guy a little more importantly. All right, so hopefully we're framed up a little bit better here. What I have here, and I'm gonna have to read it, this is an old piece of SOTEC gear, and this is I believe it's the Rapid Access Modular Medical Panel dash trauma. So this is just basically a roll-up trauma panel, and I do like this as a platform for trauma gear because obviously, as you can see, very easy to organize. All these pouches are just molly-webbed onto this black panel back here. It has just got some Velcro. It's zippered together in the middle there. and everything is pretty easy to organize, as well as everything's got Velcro labels. So you can get on with 1-800 name tapes and have them make you all these little fancy Velcro tabs, and you can organize your trauma gear. The other advantage of this guy is it is a panel, but it also, let me get it down from there. It also bags up, and it bags up decently into this big, large, lunky thing. Big ass medical kit. Everybody's gonna ask why it's spelled backwards or upside down. There we go. This big, large, lunky thing, it gets buckled up, and you can carry it around, and you will find that hidden amongst this shit on the bottom, you've got hidden straps that can kind of turn this thing into a little bit of a backpackable, carryable unit. But for the most part, if you need to carry it, it's just a big old bag that you're gonna have to carry to your casualty under your arm. I also like this because if it does come to me in my casualty where I'm treating somebody and I begin treating them on the ground with it, I can just unroll it on the ground next to the casualty and begin working. I can also then just throw shit in the middle of it, roll it up, carry it with me as we're moving to evac or moving to the ambulance, whatever. And then I will have all my shit that I kind of left in the middle just kind of sprawled down there. Just diapers it up, carry it with you, get to the ambulance, redump. Other badass thing about this is I got this because I don't own an ambulance personally, but this is a really good way to turn either a tent or the back of a car into a little portable field hospital, field ambulance, because it just hangs up on a wall. So I love the fact that I can just throw this up on the wall here, begin treatment, diaper it up, throw it in a car, hang it over the back of a car seat, and then continue treatment on the road if I needed to. So we're gonna go ahead and start at the top, work our way down, and we're gonna go ahead. I would cover it in like order of an algorithm like ABCs or March, but I think I'm just gonna not lose my head if I just start at the top and go down. So what you'll see up here, and again, just in top down order, is top left pouch is burn care. Not something we're dealing with a lot. Typically burn care for me is gonna be somebody who gets, I don't know, burned on a muffler working on a car, or they're horsing around a campfire and they burn their hands. Treat burns with dry sterile dressings in the field, and then obviously you're gonna want to ambulate. What I have in here is just, these are H&H, dry sterile burn dressings, dry sterile burn dressings. You don't need these fancy dry sterile burn dressings. All you have to do is go to CVS and grab a couple of large trauma pads, and these are sterile enough to treat your burn injury in the field. So I try to keep a little bit of military stuff in here, and then also a little bit of, back it up with a little bit of civilian stuff. Just for what we're training with, we're not always burning through very expensive military tactical equipment. Over to the next pouch just to the right of it, and you'll notice it is marked assessment and exposure. It's got a little bit of everything in here. I have just a quick little portable headlamp because honestly, a lot of the times you're gonna be working with your hands and you're gonna need light. So this is a little portable headlamp to work with. As well in here, this is a small little SpO2 probe. A really quick, easy way to check pulse and SpO2 of your patient by just keeping this on their finger, and you can just look over and monitor it pretty accurately. And these are cheap, so it's like 20 bucks. So I encourage you to get one. Obviously we got ears in here, a decent stethoscope that works, and then a blood pressure cuff, which I haven't used one of these actual old physical blood pressure cuffs in a long time, but if you don't know how to take a blood pressure with a blood pressure cuff, it is a skill to have. And then finally, you notice this did say exposure, so I've got a good blade that can cut off people's gear in here. I should have some trauma shears stuffed in the back, but I do not. I usually carry those on me. But that's a little blade for cutting nylon webbing or backpacks away from somebody, or cutting rigging away from somebody. And then I could carry better blankets than this, but this is what I have. Just some little foil emergency blankets. When you start working on exposure, you can take your clothes off your patient, get them trauma naked, and then immediately recover them back up because we're treating them for hypothermia. Hypothermia is one of the big killers of our combat trauma patients, and it is part of our lethal triad, which is now the lethal diamond because we consider hypocalcemia. A lot of big words to confuse people. Don't worry about that. On to the next bag. It's marked Splinting over here on the left. And this is really where I keep kind of just some junk. I would say this is very much not life-threatening equipment, but a really bad broken or dislodged bone, you can bleed into that space, so it can be. So I do keep a little bit of splinting supplies in here, just to, everyone's familiar with the old Sam splints, and then as well some cling form wrap, or people call this Coban, or my wife calls it vet wrap because she works at a vet clinic. But cling form is good for once you put that splint on there, wrapping it on there, keeping it all nice and secure. As well, just an old school triangular bandage, the old camo cravat. These are good for making a sling and swath or just kind of like bandaging anything. It's just a good piece of fabric. Also in here, they give you 2 safety pins. So just good tool to have, and it doesn't take up much space. So I just throw it in there. In the middle here, I've got just some miscellaneous tape. This is a plasticized tape. That's my preferred tape, that or the cloth tape. But the plasticized stuff will sit longer in there. So it just dangles right there if I ever need it. Finally, over the ones marked drugs. Nothing cool or exciting in here. This is a civilian bag, so I don't have any medical control right now, so I'm not allowed to have any drugs that I would normally carry. But I still want to talk about what would be viable. What I do have in here is a little bit of Narcan. You can get this. This is good to have. It's a drug reversal agent. And then I have my fake old lollipops in my fake little narc box right here, or my real narc box. To make a narc box, it's pretty simple. And that's all I did really. Get you a good little secure box, drill a hole in the lid, drill a hole in the floor, and add a tamper tab, and you've got yourself a little narc box. Other than here also, I got a little sharpshoot. Just good somewhere to dispose your sharps, and there's not much actually in this container, in this pouch, so that's where I ended up putting that stuff. All right, see, drugs weren't very exciting. What I would recommend you carry if you are gonna be in the field and you're working with combat trauma patients, what drugs would we carry? There's not a lot of medicine that you're going to need to carry for combat trauma. People are considering your stuff like calcium and sodium bicarbs and stuff like that, but that's with prolonged downtime. Really, you're someone who needs immediate life threats treated, doesn't need medicine, doesn't need pharmaceuticals. They need bleed stopped or breathing done for them. So this stuff really is kind of further down the line, down the algorithm. We are always, everyone knows like, all right, where do you keep the morphine? Or everyone needs a morphine syringe or something like that. This would be where you keep the morphine. Typically, morphine is dosed. Well, typically we don't like use morphine too much anymore because of its possibilities of hemodynamic compromise, which is a big word for blood pressure problems. Morphine can cause blood pressure problems, so we prefer fentanyl. Got a faster duration of action. It's also more powerful, so you have to use less of it, less dosage of it. As well as it's a little bit easier to control, and you risk a little bit less hemodynamic compromise. So fentanyl is typically our pain agent. It was given to combat trauma people, and they give it in lollipops. I think they're dosed at like 200 mics or something like that. Not exactly sure. Somebody can tell you, somebody will tell you in the comment section now that I brought it up. But that's the joke of I'm making with the lollipops, is they're fentanyl lollipops. You give somebody a lollipop and they can suck on that, and that will reduce their pain. So morphine, fentanyl. I think another great one to carry would be ketamine. I think ketamine is a good dissociative agent, not just a party drug for the Euro people out there, but ketamine can really disassociate you from your pain, which is good. So you could consider it, obviously under medical control. Also, the old green whistles, not used a lot in the United States. I think it's called Penthrox or something like that. I've heard from Euro medics that stuff's pretty good and they really love it. So there's lots of different pain meds that can be considered in the field. I personally don't have access to any of those because I'm a civilian and this is my civilian bag. But I did want to talk about them. On to the next, Airway, and this is probably should be a bigger section of my bag, but I have a little disclaimer, I don't have all the Airway kit I would like to have. This stuff gets kind of expensive, and there's many sizes of Airways and many sizes of Airway adjuncts and equipment. So I would love my Airway kit to be more expansive. What I do have, and I'll show you, and then we'll talk about it, is I have some oral Airways, and these are just an old bag, oral Airway adjuncts, OPAs if you will. I have a grip of nasal Airways, and this is most common in the adult sizes. I think I got like 5 or 6 in here, 28s around there, 28 to 30, 24. So a mess of NPAs with some lube in there as well. And then I have a single I have a single king tube. Now this is a fantastic piece of equipment. These are a little bit expensive, I do warn you, but this is a super glottic airway. It is not the most advanced airway. The most advanced airway, the gold standard is endotracheal intubation. But this is a pretty good semi-advanced airway. It does sit super glottic, so above the glottic opening, but it does also have 2 lumens, so it will protect, it is supposed to be able to protect the airway from the esophagus or vomitus with this 2 lumen system. They work pretty good. We use them a lot in the field for CPRs and in civilian life because they're just so much faster placed than an actual intubation. So I would prefer to have a full intubation kit, and these are not too hard to get. You'd need an assortment of sizes of ET tubes, and probably cuffed ones is what I'd prefer to use. And then what I would personally buy, you can get them for about $150. They're disposable or single-time use video laryngoscopes, okay? You don't need any special medical license to buy them. Now, I don't know who's selling them to everyone, if they're gonna require it, but this isn't a controlled item. This isn't space-age technology. It's a video laryngoscope, and it's just a piece of plastic video camera on the end. It looks like about a Mac 3 or 4 blade, and it makes intubation a breeze, absolute breeze. So for $150, you could, and they're not that big, you could include a video laryngoscope in your personal airway kit with some ET tubes, and you would have the gold standard of airway care available at your fingertips. I don't have that. I haven't spent that money yet. I'd like to. We'll see what happens if I need to. And lastly, airway, if you need to make your own, you're kind of shit out of luck if you're not a paramedic, but surgical cricothyrotomy, I think is the fancy term, surgical cric or a cric. That's when you're going to be cutting into this, through the skin here, into this cricothyroto, there's a bunch of words, into this membrane, and then putting an airway in through the neck. This can be done with a simple set of equipment, just a cuffed ET tube and a scalpel, but they also have some more advanced kits with some very specific hooked ET tubes that are shorter, that are made specifically for crics. Again, that's an expensive piece of kit for a procedure that you're rare to use, but again, it's a life-saving procedure. And I would love to have that capability right here. Unfortunately, I just have an old cric kit that I kind of made myself, and I wrote cric on it. And it's got the bare minimum amount of equipment, some iodine, alcohol swabs, scalpel, ET tube. There might be a tracheal hook in there, I forget. Again, I've never done a surgical cric on a live person. I've only done it on cadavers, so I would be just as scared as you to do it, but this is some kit that's in my bag that I guess I'm ready to do if I need to. Hope we don't have to. Finally, on to chest and BVM. Obviously in there, we've got a BVM. And then we have just an assortment of chest seals. We've got the old hyphen, the new hyphen. Also, if you aren't able to get the advanced, super advanced chest seals like those are expired, by the way. You can use expired stuff. You can use anything that's occlusive with tape. Granted, it's not going to stick well. The stuff that's designed to stick well will stick well. And what is designed to stick well is expired CPR pads. If you can go find an old AED that needs new pads and then replace those old pads, you can use the expired ones for occlusive chest seals. They're designed to stick on through sweat and through kind of grime and on people's chests. So they are very sticky and they are occlusive. So they're cheap. So go find your old fire department, see if they've got some of those, or see if you know somebody who works for American Heart is replacing AED pads. And they'll have a bunch of these old expired pads that you can use as occlusive dressings. Works really well. Also in here, I got a whole gambit of darts. These are for needle decompressions. These are old 10 gauge darts. And these are ARS, I don't know who's making these. Somebody's knows these. They look like the North American Rescue, but I'm not exactly sure. But these are, said they're sterile, and I'm pretty sure they're 10 gauge. Yeah, 10 gauge, 3.25 inch NCD dart. Again, I went over it in the other thing, and there's actually, thank you guys in the comments who did cover this needle decompression stuff. If you didn't see it somewhere in my comments of my IFAC video, some very smart guys actually chimed in, proving all YouTube commenters aren't shitheads. Thank you for that. But what I said earlier is if you need a needle decompression, what you actually need is a finger thoracostomy, probably, or a chest tube. So what I would love to have in this kit, instead of just these needle decompression stuff, is the equipment for a finger thoracostomy. Now again, this is pretty similar to your Crike kit. It's pretty much just an ET tube and a scalpel. I've only done this procedure one time, again on cadavers. I'm, again, just as scared as you to be receiving it, to be doing it, and I don't have that equipment right now. I'd love to expand my kit to include that, but I don't have it right now. So that is the top section of this trauma roll. Onto the middle, what I really just keep here behind this big panel, which is just removable by Velcro, is gloves and a bio bag. You never know. It's not a lot of space back there, but I keep something back there. Why not? Into the big pouch that says tourniquets. This is a hilariously big pouch just filled with tourniquets. Don't judge me. I know. My buddy robbed the army, so we got a lot. And if you need a tourniquet and you're on my squad, I give you one. That's cool, right? So you don't need 25 tourniquets in your big bag, but that's where I keep my 25 tourniquets. Fuck you, fight me. I'm not supposed to say fuck you on here anymore. On to the next bag. It says IV/IO or IV administration. I have a miscellaneous little gambit of IV stuff and supplies in here. So let me just grab a handful. Down here, it looks like we got a sharp shuttle and some IV needles. We've got an old crappy looking open J-loop. Might have to replace that. Little short 5mm flushes. 3-way stopcock. North American Rescue IV kit. IV start kit here. Another sharp, another IV needle. I won't kill you all with this. Oh, here's a good one. Here's the Mojo intravenous infusion starter kit. It looks like it's got everything you need. I like that. What am I carrying for fluids? So I've got some old expired LR lactated ringers and a very small bag of equally as expired sodium chloride, NaCl, normal saline. Sorry, my brain went dead there for a second. These are your balanced isotonic crystalloid fluids that you can basically start an IV with, but we don't want to be giving this stuff to our trauma patients because this is just pasta water. Our trauma patients need whole blood. So that's why I don't have 2 huge liter bags of fluids in here, because this is for life-saving stuff, and typically our patients or trauma patients aren't going to need that much fluid. They're going to need blood. We don't want to turn their blood they've got left into Kool-Aid. We need it to transport oxygen and be functional. So you don't want to ruin the blood they've got with a bunch of pasta water. Whole blood, not pasta water. Say it with me. Onto the very bottom, it's marked bleeding. It says general purpose and bleeding. And this is where I keep the bulk of my bleeding supplies. So down here, I've got just a bag of some hemostatics, some more hemostatic combat gauze, and then I've got just Z-Fold, Z-Pack compressed gauze, just a bunch of just Z-Form gauze. I've got Izzy combat dressings. I've got, just a bunch of more big trauma dressings, big abdominal ones. These are the North American Rescue, Big Baddie Daddies, 6x12 by 12 by 70, fat boy. And then at the very bottom here, I don't know if I'm going to keep this in this or if it's going into the first aid, but these are some very handy little skin staplers. If you need to staple up or you need sutures and you don't know how to suture, you don't want to, it's that easy. So those might actually go into my first aid here. I think those are pretty handy, but I don't think they're life-saving equipment. I think I just dropped them in here because I found them. All right, so that was covering pretty much the entirety of this SoTech modular medical trauma panel. It is a fantastic piece of kit. Again, I like it a lot. And we just keep it in this trailer here because it is too damn big to carry around with you everywhere you go. So I'm gonna toss that to the side, and let's go ahead and adjust the camera a little bit. Bring you on in and bring your jiggity down a hair so we can talk about this guy right here. So again, this is my like field pharmacy, if you will, if you have to call it that, or like your medicine cabinet, your sick call box, whatever ailment you have. Hopefully it can be treated here if it's not a life threat. Now, disclaimer, this is a mess. I haven't been in here in a while. Last time I was in here, I've kind of been field fucking this thing for a year now, so it is not complete. And as well, it doesn't have everything I would like even originally. So there's some stuff I need to get in here that I just don't have yet. Let's open it up. First thing, again, Pelican 1600 case. I like the Pelicans for this stuff because they're just really protective. You can beat the shit out of them, and you can throw them in the back of the truck, mark it with some good stickers, and it'll last forever. What you'll notice immediately is I've bought the Pelican EMS insert, okay? What the EMS insert includes, hopefully this doesn't fall, is this foam insert down here, this set of foam inserts, and they give you a bunch of these little things that Velcro in the sidewalls and the floor. And then as well, this big blue sheet up here. So again, just to stay kind of organized, I'm gonna talk through here. It's a mess, very distracting. Right on top, foot powder, Motrin. As all good combat medics know, if their problem is above the waist, it is a Motrin problem. If their problem is below the waist, it is a foot powder problem. So keep those right on top. But let's go ahead and start up here with this blue little insert that I've got. So opening it up, this is, I guess, supposed to just kind of be a protective little sheet that you could work on if you needed to start something or you needed a sterile field. You could use this. Again, it's not really a sterile field, but it's something. It also just kind of folds up to keep your shit in its pouches up here. Also behind here, you've got one additional thingo. My glue is coming a little loose, so you realize I've got to hold the back on as I pull that off. That kind of sucks, but I'll just glue it back on there, pardon me. All right, so what do we got in here? This is just some kind of some medicine, generic stuff. We got aspirin. That looks like Tylenol. It was written on there. Yeah, acetaminophen. This is ibuprofen. Ibuprofen's orange. Looks like some Tums or something. This is cold and flu. Aleve, some BC powder. We've got some epinephrine, some Zofran, some Dramamine up there. And then down here, again, just another little storage pouch. I keep just a set of random tools, just a nice set of tweezers, a nice set of scissors, some forceps. You never know if you gotta pop a real nasty zit or something for somebody, or lance a blister. Also some razors are in there. So I just keep that down there tucked away. Moving on. We got some just generic alcohol prep pads and some small gauze for if you're just causing small bleeds or patching up something very small, as well as some Band-Aids for obviously small cuts, and steri strips, which I think are a godsend. The little steri strips are better than stitches. When the doctor will definitely give you stitches, you could probably just get by with steri strips. Again, we've got some Narcan, some more Narcan. It's just all some old stuff, expired. You can get that anywhere. Some more small tools, tweezers. Another good thing to have in here that I don't have would be some fingernail clippers. Those are used a ton, and dudes in the field always need to fucking clip their dirty little fingernails, and they're always picking them and shit. And if you get a hangnail, man, nothing better than actually having the right tool for the job. So razor blades, some fingernail clippers would be great. Q-tips, stuff they use in the bathroom. Little flossers would be great to have in here. Just all sorts of little stuff that, hey, if you forget it, at least we got something. But I don't have everything. Oh, another good thing, I got a contact case. There's dudes in the field with a contact, so it'd be nice to have some contact solution in a backup case for guys like me who are completely blind without their contacts. Moving on here to the bottom left, I've got some gloves that seem to be covering up some just rolls of gauze, and then next to that is some sterile water for irrigating an injury or irrigating something. And next to that, it looks like some hot and cold patches for a back. Who knows? Just if your ailment exists, hopefully we can find a cure for it in this box. Again, it's not very organized. Also, a splint. Sand splinter is good. I like the round ones in here because they're bulky. I like the flat ones in there because they pack better. And then next to the sand splint, I've got an actual face seal for CPR, mouth to mouth. I don't know why. I just can't bring myself to throw it away. And I don't have a BVM in here, so you know, it's good to have something rather than nothing. We got an assortment of IV supplies in here. We got some administration sets, as well as just your start kits as well. Those are next to just a couple of syringes with needles attached already. You never know. We've got some IV needles, some flushes, and then 2 more small bags of expired IV fluids. If you're wondering where to get this stuff, you know, I can't tell you exactly where, but I can tell you it's really nice to know a veterinarian. They are good people, so be nice to your vets. Moving along, guys, a ton of gauze. Some more of the triangle bandages. These are civilian versions of the triangle bandages. These have the safety pins in there. Excellent for just random shit. Some more 4x4s. These are like these are like your paper towels in EMS. Just a 4x4 gauze is the standard you go to. If it's real big, get the 5x9. If it's really, really big, you'll get the trauma sheet. We've got a fistful of tape right on top of a bunch of Band-Aids right there. Some more rolled gauze right here. A single roll of Curlex. Probably need another roll of Curlex right there. There's room for it. But I don't like Curlex that much. Again, this is just a bandage roll. Can you get this stuff at CVS? I really prefer the big old rolls of Coban. I think they're much better. That's another big old roll of Coban, vet wrap, cling form, whatever you want to call it. Moving on down to the bottom row, I've got some like creams and some sauces and all sorts of weird stuff. Hydrogen peroxide for cleaning your cuts and scrapes. Keep your shit clean so people don't get infections in the field. A Z-Pack, zithromycin. Talk to your vets. So some just Cal gel for like itchies and scratchies. Some new skin. This is fantastic for those boys with the pussy feet. Iodine for cleaning stuff. Antibiotic ointment, triple antibiotic, 100% a staple. You need to have that. Lanacane for that fungy stuff that won't go away with just foot powder. This is my contact solution that I told you to have. Hydrocortisone cream for where it itches. Gold Bond, you can trade this shit for chew after a couple days in the field. Looks like some more iodine. Some more antiseptic wash, antiseptic rinse, and then a little bit of iso alcohol. All right. So guys, nothing too crazy in here. Again, the kind of theory behind this thing is supermarket sweep. Stick your arm out at CVS and get one everything down the aisle. I definitely need some more stuff in here. I didn't cover everything you should carry. I'd love to see your guys' feedback in the comment section. Just to remind me of what I can actually grab. So I'll go back to this video and scroll the comments section and be like, oh, you don't have this, you don't have that. So I actually appreciate that. Guys, again, this isn't anything everybody needs, but this is something. If you're spending a lot of time in the field, people are gonna get cuts, scratches, bruises, and blisters. Those add up and they make life uncomfortable. So the more things you can do to make life a little bit more comfortable and keep your guys in the field, the better off you'll be. So I hope this was informative. I hope you had fun. Again, Life Fighters Anonymous, like and subscribe. I appreciate it so much. Rock on, stay sharp.